that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave. Today in Vermont, a woman is giving birth to a beautiful baby. And that is, for all of you who are parents, just a day you will never forget. And it is also a pretty big day for the baby. But if that mom is working class, if that mom is low income, in all likelihood, she will have to separate herself from that beautiful baby in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks because she has to go back to work to earn enough money to take care of her. That is not a family value. That's the opposite of a family. Legislation now in the House and the Senate that guarantees 3 months paid family leave. What our campaign has been talking about is the fact that we have a corrupt campaign finance system, the fact that we have a rigged economy, something that your Senator Elizabeth Warren has talked about a lot. Thank you all for sending Elizabeth to the Senate. And we have a broken criminal justice system. And I want to very briefly, if I could, tell you a story which encompasses all of that. Last month, Goldman Sachs, one of the large financial institutions on Wall Street, you know Goldman Sachs. Yeah. Here's what they did. They announced that they had reached a settlement with the federal government for $5 billion. $5 billion. Other banks have actually reached even larger settlements. Now they reached that settlement because obviously they were selling worthless subprime mortgage packages. Which helped to destroy the American economy and resulted in millions of people losing their jobs, their life savings, and their homes. Okay? $5 billion settlement, point number one. Point number two. Over the years, Goldman Sachs and other Wall Street firms have sent many high-ranking officials to Washington, D.C. In fact, Goldman Sachs in recent years has had 2 secretaries of the Treasury. That's called the revolving door. Wall Street, the government, back to Wall Street. Point number 3. Goldman Sachs, like many other financial institutions, provides significant amounts of campaign contributions and speakers' fees. Yeah. Point number 4, and perhaps the point that is most upsetting to the American people. If some kid in Massachusetts today gets arrested for possession of marijuana, that person will likely have a police record for their entire lives, which is no laughing matter because it will make it harder for that person to go and get a job. And it is also a racial issue because it turns out that whites and blacks do marijuana about equally, and yet blacks are 4 times more likely to be arrested. In any case, you get caught with marijuana, you get a police record. But what happens if you are an executive on Wall Street whose illegal behavior destroyed the lives of millions of people? You know what you get? Yeah, bonus. You get a salary increase. No police record. So together, we are going justice to a broken criminal justice system. What that means to me is, you disagree with me, that's great. You want to run against me, that's great. That's what America is supposed to be about, clash of ideas, people running for office. What American democracy is not supposed to be about is the Koch brothers and a few of their billionaire friends spending $900 million on this election cycle. That is oligarchy, and together we are going to stop that. Together we are going to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. Together we will move toward public funding of elections. Republican governors all over America who are suppressing the vote, making it harder for people to participate. Now, everybody knows, this is kind of a no-brainer, that if this country is going to succeed economically now and in the future, we need the best educated workforce in the world. Today, there are hundreds of thousands of bright and qualified young people who cannot get a college education for one reason, and that reason is their families lack the money. That is why I believe that in the year 2016, when we talk about public education, it's not good enough to talk about first grade through 12th grade. Today, in many ways, a college degree is the equivalent of what a high school degree was 50 or 60 years ago. And that is why, in my view, we have got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. This exists in Germany today, it exists in Scandinavia, it exists in other countries, and surprise, surprise, it existed in the United States of America 50, 60 years ago, where you could go to some of the best public universities in the world, virtually tuition free. And the other issue that we have got to deal with is another insanity, and that is that millions of people, some young and some not so young, are suffocating under oppressive student debt. Anybody here with student debt? I have talked to people all over this country, 50,000, 100,000, talked to a doctor in Berlin, Vermont, 300,000, talked to a dentist in Iowa, 400,000. Talked to my mom in New Hampshire. She was paying off not only her kids' student debt, but her student debt as well. This is pretty crazy stuff. People should not be punished for getting an education. Encourage people to get an education, not discourage them. That is why legislation that we have would allow people with student debt to refinance their loans at the lowest interest rates they can find. Significantly reducing student debt. Now people once again say, well, Bernie, you're Santa Claus. You're giving away all of this free stuff. How are you going to pay for this one? I will tell you exactly how we will pay for it. And that is when Wall Street destroyed our economy, they went begging the United States Congress and the taxpayers of this country to bail them out. Now it is Wall Street's turn through a tax on speculation to help the business. I am a member of the Senate Committee on the Environment and the Senate Committee on Energy. I have talked to scientists all over this world and throughout our country. And here is the simple truth. The debate is over. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. It is already devastating many parts of our country and the world. We have a moral responsibility in terms of the planet that we leave to our kids and our grandchildren, to take on the fossil fuel industry, to work with China, Russia, India, and countries all over the world, and say we are going to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, wind, solar, and other sustainable energy. Now, throughout this campaign, I have been accused of thinking too big, thinking too boldly. Let me give you one area, one example of where I'm having criticized. I have the very, very radical idea that maybe the United States of America should do what the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Holland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, every major country in Canada, all of these countries are doing, and that is guaranteeing health care to all people. Today, 29 million Americans still have zero health insurance. Today, many of you are underinsured with large deductibles and co-payments. Many of you and millions of other Americans do not go to the doctor when you are sick because you can't afford the out-of-pocket expense. Today in America, the drug companies are ripping us off beyond belief. Charging us by far the highest prices in the world for medicine. It is so crazy that 1 out of 5 Americans who receives a prescription from his or her doctor is unable to fill that prescription because of the cost. Think about it. Crazy. You go to the doctor when you are sick, doctor writes a prescription, you can't afford to fill it, what happens? You get sick and that's what happens. That's pretty crazy stuff. So, and then to add insult to injury, turns out that we spend far, far more per capita on health care than any other major country. We spend almost 3 times what the British do. They guarantee health care to all people. 50% more than the French guarantee health care to all people. Much more than our Canadian neighbors. They guarantee health care to all of their people. So it seems to me that the time is now that we summon the courage to take on the drug companies, take on the insurance companies, and make it clear that health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. $5,000 a year in healthcare costs. It will save businesses huge amounts of money. You know what else it will do? It will allow you to do any work you want. You're not going to have to stay in a job you don't like because of health insurance. You want to go out and start your own business, you can do it and still have health insurance. My friends, we are at a pivotal moment in American history. Either we have the courage to think big and to say, you know what, in this great country, we should not be having the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country at the same time as we have more income and wealth inequality than any other country. In this great country, we should not be seeing veterans sleep out on the street while people propose hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks for the top 1%. We should not be a country where elderly people are cutting their medicine in half because they can't afford the prescription drugs they need. We should not be a country where people are paying 20–25% of their income in student debt repayments. We should not be the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all and doesn't guarantee paid family and medical leave. Let me tell you what no other candidate for president will tell you, and that is that the powers that be today in America, that's Wall Street, they have endless supplies of money. Corporate America, whose greed has done so much damage to our people. Corporate media that decides what you will see or not see. Large campaign donors who control the political process. No president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can take them on alone. What we need now, in this moment in American history, is people to rethink what it means to live in a democratic society. What it means is to understand that every person in this room has enormous power if you are prepared to use that power. Political revolution in which millions and millions of people, including working people who have given up on the political process, young people who've never been engaged in the political process, blacks and whites and Latinos and Asian Americans and Native Americans, gay and straight, young and old, people born in this country, people who have immigrated into this country. We need to stand together and say loudly and clearly, enough is enough. Our government belongs to all of us, not just a handful of billionaires. Enough is enough. Tuesday, March 1st,